Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma and today I want to show you how I paint a Tau Fire Warrior. So first off, I start out, as I always do, with a model that's been primed using the Wraithbone spray, and then I use the contrast paint Volupus Pink to give it a nice base coat and on parts of the armor. I want to paint this in 3 separate colors, so pink and yellow and a dark turquoise green mix, and here I'm just starting with the pink. I mean, when you are painting stuff like this, always start out with the pink to make sure you have enough room for enough pink. Next up, I use some more contrast paint, this time the Pterodon Turquoise, another one of my favorite contrast paints, and I put that on various other parts of the armor. I've decided that the larger armor panels are going to be the turquoise and the pink, and then I will use yellow for pants and smaller armor parts. The yellow I'm using here is Yandon Yellow, another contrast paint. I really do love the contrast paints. I think that they work so well, especially as a base coat, and particularly a color such as yellow that can be relatively difficult to paint with, but if you're using a contrast paint, I think it just goes over the model so easily, which I just it means that I enjoy painting yellow, which I did not do before. For the gun, I'm painting it with the Black Templar, also a contrast paint, and I mean, I was tempted to paint it in another really bright color, but I decided I wanted the model to be the model itself to be sort of the focus and not its gun, so that's why I just went with the standard black for that. Next up, I start doing some dark edge highlights, and for the Pterodon Turquoise, I use the black contrast paint to do a sort of a dark edge highlight. I want to have the illusion of shadows without actually having to do real shadows. And then I use a sort of a cross-hatching technique that you can see here to give that illusion. And I paint that predominantly on the lower parts of armor panels because that's where you would have more shadow. On the purple armor parts, I use Pterodon Turquoise to do the dark edge highlights, and I find that this works really well on purple because it's not as stark as a black would be, but still stands out quite clearly. On the yellow, I use the Gryph-hound Orange, which is a bit more subtle in its shading than on the purple, for instance. But I think it works really well and gives us a nice sort of depth and vibrancy to it. Then I start highlighting the model, and for the yellow I use a Flash Kits Yellow, an ordinary Citadel layer paint, and I try to do a little bit of cross-hatching here as well. It's not as easy on the pants simply because there aren't a lot of really flat surfaces, but where it's possible I try to get just a slight touch of cross-hatching in. I think that the cross-hatching works really well both on cloth and on armor textures. And lastly, I do a slight bit of highlighting using the Wraithbone layer paint, and I try to be a little bit careful with that. I really don't want to go overboard because then it'll start looking like it's a yellowish white instead of a white highlighted. For the turquoise part, I start highlighting using Mood Green, also a Citadel layer paint. And as you can see, I also try to do the cross-hatching here, again with the lighter green. It's just really the technique I mostly enjoy using. I think it gives an interesting sort of visual look while also giving the sense of light and shadow on a model. And I just think it's a nice sort of comic style without going totally overboard. I don't know. Can you ever go truly overboard? I think the crazier it gets, the better, usually. And for the last bit of highlighting on the green or the turquoise, I use Tesseract Glow and mixed with some yellow floral pigment from Green Stuff World, because this gives a really nice, very vibrant, bright highlight. And as I said, you can never go too crazy. And I use that not as sparingly as I use the Wraithbone, for instance, on the white. Here I use it almost on all the surfaces where I also use the Mood Green. So the Mood Green here more or less serves as a base for the brighter highlight. And lastly, for the pink, I use a mixture of a pigment from PK Pro called Cyclam Red mixed with Army Painter Matte White, and I use that as the highlight for the pink. And you can see again here I try to do the cross hatching to give the illusion that we have some light playing on top of his or her helmet. And then lastly I go over it carefully again like I did with the Wraithbone here with Army Painter Matte White. And I really try to be careful. I don't want it to be a case of a whitish helmet tinged with pink. I want it very clearly to be a pink helmet with just a touch of white on top. And this is the part of the painting process that I enjoy the most, because I think putting this pure white highlight on the model on the end is really what makes it all come together and look really fun and really bright. So that's why I'm often saving that for last, just because then you have something to look forward to. And here you can see the Fire Warrior ready to go into action for the greater good. This was fun. It's if those of you who have been following my channel for a while, this looks really much like my Tau battlesuit, the Riptide that I painted some time ago. And this is meant to go in the same army. I'm painting this for a friend. It's not for my army. I'm not building a Tau army. But this is for his army, and I think it's going to look so much fun when it's all together on the battlefield. So this was what I wanted to show you. If you have any sort of questions or comments or anything, please leave them in the comment section below. And please remember, you're also more than welcome to leave a like or subscribing to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram as Dice and Demons. So thank you so much for watching this one, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.